Bedtime stories for adults. China folklore. The Ape Sun Wu Kung. Far, far away to the east, in the midst of the great sea, there is an island called the Mountain of Flowers and Fruits. And on this mountain there is a high rock. Now this rock, from the very beginning of the world, had absorbed all the hidden seed power of heaven, and earth, and sun, and moon, which endowed it with supernatural creative gifts. One day the rock burst, and out came an egg of stone. And out of this stone egg, a stone ape was hatched by magic power. When he broke the shell, he bowed to all sides. Then he gradually learned to walk, and to leap, and 2 streams of golden radiance broke from his eyes, which shot up to the highest of the castles of heaven, so that the Lord of the heavens was frightened. So he sent out the 2 gods, Thousand-Mile Eye and Fine Ear, to find out what had happened. The 2 gods came back and reported, "The rays shine from the eyes of the stone ape, who was hatched out of the egg, which came from the magic rock. There is no reason for uneasiness." Little by little the ape grew up, ran and leapt about, drank from the springs in the valleys, ate the flowers and fruits, and time went by in unconstrained play. One day, during the summer, when he was seeking coolness, together with the other apes on the island, they went to the valley to bathe. There they saw a waterfall, which plunged down a high cliff. Said the apes to each other, "Whoever can force his way through the waterfall, without suffering injury, shall be our king." The stone ape at once leapt into the air with joy and cried, "I will pass through." Then he closed his eyes, bent down low, and leapt through the roar and foam of the waters. When he opened his eyes once more, he saw an iron bridge, which was shut off from the outer world by the waterfall, as though by a curtain. At its entrance stood a tablet of stone on which were graven the words, "This is the heavenly cave, behind the water curtain on the blessed island of flowers and fruits." Filled with joy, the stone ape leapt out again through the waterfall, and told the other apes what he had found. They received the news with great content, and begged the stone ape to take them there. So the tribe of apes leapt through the water on the iron bridge, and then crowded into the cave castle, where they found a hearth with a profusion of pots, cups and platters. But all were made of stone. Then the apes paid homage to the stone ape as their king, and he was given the name of Handsome King of the Apes. He appointed long-tailed, ring-tailed, and other monkeys to be his officials and counselors, servants and retainers, and they led a blissful life on the mountain, sleeping by night in their cave castle, keeping away from birds and beasts, and their king enjoyed untroubled happiness. In this way some 300 years went by. One day, when the king of the apes sat with his subjects at a merry meal, he suddenly began to weep. Frightened, the apes asked him why he so suddenly grew sad amid all his bliss. Said the king, "It is true that we are not subject to the law and rule of man, that birds and beasts do not dare attack us, yet little by little, we grow old and weak, and someday the hour will strike when death, the ancient, will drag us off. Then we are gone in a moment, and can no longer dwell upon earth." When the apes heard these words, they hid their faces and sobbed. But an old ape, whose arms were connected in such a way that he could add the length of one to that of the other, stepped forth from the ranks. In a loud tone of voice he said, "That you have hit upon this thought, O king, shows the desire to search for truth has awakened you. Among all living creatures, there are but three kinds who are exempt from death's power: the Buddhas, the blessed spirits, and the gods. Whoever attains one of these three grades escapes the rod of rebirth and lives as long as the heavens themselves." The king of the apes said, "Where do these three kinds of beings live?" And the old ape replied, "They live in caves and on holy mountains, in the great world of mortals." The king was pleased when he heard this, and told his apes that he was going to seek out gods and sainted spirits, in order to learn the road to immortality from them. The apes dragged up peaches, and other fruits, and sweet wine to celebrate the parting banquet, and all made merry together. On the following morning, the handsome king of the apes rose very early, built him a raft of old pine trees, and took a bamboo staff for a pole. Then he climbed on the raft, quite alone, and pulled his way through the great sea. Wind and waves were favorable, and he reached Asia. There he went ashore. On the strand he met a fisherman. He at once stepped up to him, knocked him down, tore off his clothes and put them on himself. Then he wandered around, and visited all famous spots, went into the marketplaces, the densely populated cities, learned how to conduct himself properly, and how to speak and act like a well-bred human being. Yet his heart was set on learning the teaching of the Buddhas, the blessed spirits, and the holy gods. But the people of the country, in which he was, were only concerned with honors and wealth. Not one of them seemed to care for life. Thus he went about until 9 years had passed by unnoticed. Then he came to the strand of the western sea, and it occurred to him, no doubt there are gods and saints on the other side of the sea. So he built another raft, floated it over the western sea, and reached the land of the west. There he let his raft drift, and went ashore. After he had searched for many days, he suddenly saw a high mountain with deep, quiet valleys. As the ape king went toward it, he heard a man singing in the woods, and the song sounded like one the blessed spirits might sing. So he hastily entered the wood to see who might be singing. There he met a woodchopper at work. The ape king bowed to him and said, "Venerable, divine master, I fall down and worship at your feet." Said the woodchopper, "I am only a workman. Why do you call me divine master? Then, if you are no blessed God, how comes it you sing that divine song?" The woodchopper laughed and said, "You are at home in music. The song I was singing was really taught me by a saint."